All right, Danny Wagner. Right, we'll just wait for Locksmith to jump on, and then we shall start. Hope you're doing your training, Wagner.
Yo,
Locksmith!
how you doing, fella? You alright?
Yeah, good, you?
Yeah, man, I'm sweet. I'm sweet.
You had a good day?
Busy day, real
Yeah?
busy day. No different from any other day in my life,
Good
anyway.
day? Good day of training?
I haven't trained yet.
No.
No, I went on a long walk with the vest on, and that was about it today. I'm gonna
Yeah?
get it in before I go to bed. Yeah, man.
Nice, nice. Congratulations on SS Who Dares Wins.
Oh, cheers, man. Thank you. That was a
It
tough
was,
old time.
it looked like an absolute epic experience, though.
No, it definitely was, and I'm sure it's one of those experiences
Yeah,
that you would thrive on as well. It's a crazy
yeah,
time.
I'd love that challenge.
No, definitely, man. It was a mad experience, and learned so much there, and you know, jumped out of my comfort zone like I wouldn't believe. I knew I was going to jump out of my comfort zone, but not like that, to the
Yeah, yeah.
point where you're sleep deprived and you're hungry all the time because you're on about 800 calories throughout the whole day, and like someone the size of myself is not dealing with that too well.
Yeah, I think that would be the biggest thing for me would be trying to push myself to my limits on lack of sleep and lack of food.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it?
Um, I think, yeah, obviously not. I normally eat like 4,000 calories a day, so trying to have
Jesus.
800 calories, mate, I'd be absolutely battered after one
Where
day.
the hell are you putting that, bro? 4,000
I'm a big
calories.
boy. I need a lot of food.
Yeah. That's mad. That's crazy.
So, how does the food schedule work with SSU Days Winners? Do you have like certain times where you can eat, or is it?
Yeah, it's basically on their call, really. They'll shout it out, and because you're so anxious, you just jump up at anything. So they'll be like, "Food ready," you'll be like,
Yeah,
and then you go. So yeah, there was a mess hall as you probably seen on the show, and yeah, they would prepare it, and they would allocate the team leader to be the sort of the chef, not the chef, the person who gives you the food, and
yeah,
then you just literally go for it. And the portions were really small because there wasn't a lot to go around. And as you went on throughout each day, the portions would get even smaller, which was an absolute
oh
piss
man,
take.
yeah,
But yeah, I managed to deal with it.
yeah. And how was the lack of sleep?
Lack of sleep, oh mate, I've since Rudimental kicked off, I don't think I've slept well since then, mate.
You,
To be
you, you
honest with
got
you,
more sleep on SAS than you have for like 10 years.
Probably more than my normal life, with the new baby here as well. And, my 10-year-old, I ain't slept since he was born. But yes, the sleep thing wasn't such a big issue for me. I didn't really sleep. I can be honest
Yeah,
with you. I was probably getting about 3-4 hours a day.
wow.
Solid sleep, like literally just blackout. But
Yeah, yeah,
apart from that, you're not really sleeping. You're sleeping with one eye open. And what they don't
yeah,
show you on the show as well is that you're doing night watch,
yeah. That's
where
what I was going to ask. Like, how much of what stuff do you do in between that they actually don't film? Like, are you just chilling, or have they got you
oh, I
working
wish,
constantly?
mate, it's so mad because you watch it back and you're like, wow, this is like 10% of what we actually have done.
Really?
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And you're looking at it and you're like, what about when we did that? They zoom straight into the part where you jump backwards from a helicopter, but they don't talk to you about the 10K hike to get there and then like the 5K hike to get back. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
It's just like all those little things. They fill the time wisely. They fill it wisely. But yeah, it's mad because you're constantly looking at the show and you're thinking people are not going to understand how hard it is. But
yeah,
I think it's built up the respect to the point where people are like, I could never do. Well, most people feel like they can never do that, or
yeah,
they
yeah,
they see it as a massive challenge.
yeah.
But it's more of a challenge than you actually think.
Yeah, massively. Like I said, I'd love the challenge of going on a show like that. And I think obviously physically it would be tough, but I think I'd cope quite well with the
Yeah.
physical demand of what they ask for. But for me, like the sleep and the food, that's going to be the big sort of killer
Yeah,
thing.
no, that's it. I was talking to
Quite a
one of
lot.
the DSs before, and they were basically saying, if we gave you the individual circuits, the beastings that we had when we got woken up at like 3 o'clock in the morning, and then you had to carry people on your back and all that nonsense.
Yeah,
If they gave us that session in sort of like one circuit in the gym,
yeah, you'd fly
you
through it.
fly for it.
Yeah, yeah,
But like all the other factors that come into play, like it
yeah,
just
yeah,
drains you, and that's
yeah,
the whole mental approach. This is where you start doubting yourself, and you're like, I
yeah.
don't think I can go any further.
Yeah, I think a hard bit to watch is when you damaged your knee.
Oh,
That looked
mate.
that looked probably one of the most like painful situations for you during the whole
Yeah,
show.
no, it was, and that was at that point. I honestly thought this is it. I'm gonna have to give my number up because I genuinely didn't believe I'll get through it.
Yeah,
It was a long-term injury, knee injury, like through playing football for years. Um, but I've been able to maintain it through sort of like stretching, strength work, and foam rolling and all that kind of stuff. The
yeah,
kind of stuff you have time for before you jump in the gym.
yeah,
But
yeah,
on
yeah.
SAS, you don't have the time to do it. Although they gave me
It's
all the facilities and that, they
you,
gave me
you
my foam roller and all that.
telling Ant you need to stop. We need to warm up before we go
Yeah,
anywhere.
could you imagine?
Stop, Ant. I need my 20-minute warm up. Stop there.
But no, you definitely weren't getting that. And I just feel like because of the lack of rest and all the rest of it, that's when the knee just said, you know what, you're taking the piss.
Yeah,
Yeah, good luck trying to get up this hill. I had to dig deep to get out of that. And
yeah,
mate, I was as shocked as anyone to see myself still, in it by the
yeah.
end of it. It was crazy.
That looked tough. I think it was quite nice at that point because the DS was really encouraging you, wasn't he?
Yeah,
And
yeah, no,
I
definitely.
think sometimes they can go one way. Some like
Yeah.
they might kind of see it as a weakness. So they're going to try and attack you and try and say, "Give me your
Mm-mm.
armband. Give me your armband."
Yeah, yeah.
But
Oh,
he was,
don't get twisted. The first
oh,
the first hour of me climbing up that hill, it was like, "You gonna give me your armband or what?"
oh, okay,
I was getting it. No, but the majority of it, to be fair, he was motivating me along. He was telling, like he said one key thing, and that was your son is at the top of the
yeah,
hill, you
yeah,
know,
yeah,
and that just stuck in my head. And I was like, how the hell can I let him down? You know what I
yeah,
mean? I need to go up. I need to get there. And there were points where I was actually crawling. I was dragging my nails through the mud to
yeah,
get through there. And as it looked, was as hard, if not worse.
yeah.
It was.
It looked brutal because you're carrying those awkward objects on your back, which just looked horrendous.
Hey, it's a joke. It's a
Yeah,
joke. I
crazy.
said to them afterwards, like, you lot are gonna have to have a day off. Don't know how you lot did this for 10 years straight.
Mental.
Mm.
But what was the highlight for you of the series?
Um,
Obviously, finishing was a big thing.
yeah, no, finishing definitely was a big thing, and that would probably be the most obvious part of the question. But I think it's facing my fears, a lot of my fears
Mm.
throughout it. That was a massive highlight for me.
Because
I'm
a
massively
fear of
scared of heights.
heights.
Yeah,
Yeah,
massively.
yeah, yeah.
And
'Cause-
although they never showed sort of like me abseiling or me walking down a mountain, I did it all.
yeah,
Um,
because you were with John Fashion, weren't you?
Fascinating. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then
Bless
he
him.
didn't do it, so it looked like they just like strolled off.
Boasting did no, no,
Yeah,
no. I did it. I 100% did it. They put me with Yaz at that time, and I think it's because they said later on. I don't know if it was in the next episode that I'll be paired up with Yaz. So I'm
okay.
guessing in that edit they didn't want to see us both go down the mountain together, kind of thing.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
But yeah, facing my fears was a big one,
yeah,
massive one, and I managed to do that. And yeah, finishing was at as well. But if you look back at the show and you see when they told me that you passed, I'm like, you what?
yeah.
I'm like, really? I've been in interrogation for nearly 36 hours. I don't know. I don't even know my own name, let alone I passed.
And it's generally 36 hours. It is.
So what happens is you get put on the extraction, and on the extraction you're on there for a good, I think it's like 24 hours, something like that.
And this section's going to happen. You know you're going to get interrogated.
Yeah, you're going to get interrogated, and there's because of previous shows, you kind of know that's towards the end, kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah,
And then you get put in interrogation where you're in stress positions, and you got babies screaming in your ears and
yeah.
whatnot, and you're literally doing that for another 12 hours, man. 13 hours, I think it was actually.
And
Yeah, it's just
and
crazy.
they play those noises for continuous for like hours on end.
Hours on end, literally, literally. You're standing up like this, and you haven't slept. You're starving,
Yeah.
and they play these noises in your ears, and you're just like, "What the hell is going on?" But you just throughout every minute that's going on, you find little mechanisms to work it out to get through. For example, with the babies crying in my ears, I'm used to hearing samples over and over and over and over again in the studio. So I tried to make the baby screaming in my ears as a sample, and I was just like, there was one point where I was just making a beat.
Song by coming out of Interrogation.
Yeah, exactly, exactly, exactly. That's how I got through that,
Yeah.
and yeah, it helped tremendously, man.
Mental, because you watch it and they say obviously you've been interrogated for so many hours, but because you're not actually done it, you think, oh, surely they get a break somewhere, or
Oh no, mate, it's so
honestly for hours.
no. There's no break. There's no. All
Mental.
right, mate, you've done this. We've got enough for camera. You don't need to do. There's none of it, and it's so mad because I remember once, one of the videographers. Look, he wasn't even talking to us. It looked like he was talking to us. And Ant came over and said, "What the fuck are you doing talking to my recruits?" And he
Yeah,
was like, he just got back in the car, shut up, and just went back in the car. The
yeah,
cameramen, the audio guys, they weren't allowed to talk to you. As soon as you got into the facility, they take your phones, they take all electronics from you. Mate, it's realistic. There's no
yeah.
downtime. There's no person waiting for you on hand on foot. Would you like a cup of tea? You know, would you like a warm blanket? There was none of it. Absolutely none.
That's good. That's what you want.
Yeah, definitely.
And how did you find the actual like interrogation of them asking you questions? Did you feel like you were switched on, or were you just kind of running off fumes and just whatever was coming out your mouth was?
To be fair, I felt like I was switched on. I think I won over the interrogators
Yeah,
there,
massively.
and
It's you know what you're doing, and you knew when to drip feed them information,
yeah, exactly. Like you
and
could see from some of the others that they didn't quite get it.
yeah, yeah,
But yeah, I felt like I had a plan of how I'm going to play it, and I was even asking them questions at points. You know, and I was like, "Yeah, so how's it going for you? What's going on with all this? This is crazy, mate. This is nuts. This is bonkers.
yeah,
Like, you lot must be loving this. Like, you just got some random strangers in there. This is mad." Like
yeah.
at points, so I was like that at points, and yeah, they kind of I kind of won them over in that respect.
And you get briefed for that situation, don't you? Is that at the
Yeah,
start, or is that halfway through?
I can't remember actually when it was, but at some point, I think it was towards the latter part of our stay there, and they kind of brief you on your cover story, and then they just basically leave that with you. In fact, I think it's a couple of days before you get taken,
Okay.
so it gives you like enough time to forget.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But
When you're deprived and you've not had food, it's amazing what you can think you're going into a situation, you've got it sorted out, you've got a plan
yeah,
in your head.
yeah,
You
yeah,
have no sleep, no food, that plan's just out the window.
yeah, mate. I've been there many a night, like after a nightclub or whatever, hungry, drunk. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I know that feeling, and it's very similar to SAS and interrogation. Although you're not intoxicated with alcohol, your mind is literally drunk.
yeah, yeah.
You don't know where you're at, you don't know what you're doing, and you have to quickly acclimatize to the
Yeah.
scenario.
So at the end, I think obviously all the DSs congratulate you and gave you a hug, and
Mm-hmm.
that like the only side of them that you saw
100 million percent.
at the end, all the way through. They were kind of your
100
DSs,
million percent.
straight faced.
Mate, I'll tell you stories. So with Ant, I did soccer aid with Ant last year. The hell? My printer's doing a madness. Yeah, I did soccer aid with Ant last year, and we got on really, really well. And, you know, we took each other's numbers, and we stayed in contact. So with that, sorry, this printer's doing my nutting. What's going on?
Always, always.
Always working. It's just printing out. God knows how much. So anyway, with that, we stayed in touch, and we became really, really good friends. So then, when I
Okay.
got into when I got into the facility, and we were getting a beast in. I must have said something like, "All right, Anne, I got this." He flipped the switch on me like you
Really?
couldn't believe. I felt like I was back at school and I was afraid of that one teacher that no one ever fucks with. And yeah, he literally ripped me a new one. And it was from that moment. I'm so glad it happened early on.
Yeah,
I think it was one of those off-camera moments as well.
yeah,
And he just literally ripped me a new one. So I knew then that this is what it is. There
yeah,
is no mate, friend, leave it
yeah,
out, drop me out, have a day off. There was
yeah.
none of that. And they kept that up throughout. So that's why it was so weird at the end at the finish line to see him laughing with you
Yeah,
and telling me to fucking cheer up. I'm like, what?
yeah, yeah.
I'm allowed to now.
Is this still of a test? Always on edge.
Yeah, this is it. Exactly. I was ready for the next challenge. If they told me to run over and jump over the mountain, I probably would have done. So delirious.
And what was the kind of atmosphere between the group of you? Was it a close knit group?
Mate, that was one of my biggest fears as well. We talk about heights being one of my biggest fears. The social element of it was massively scary for me.
Yeah,
Because Rudimental, our faces are not in the limelight. You know, I could walk down the street and no one knows us. And that's something we did on purpose because I don't want to be that person who gets mobbed. And I don't want to, I'm a recluse. I like my own company.
yeah,
So I was worried about having to go into a group of unknown celebrity, well, not unknown to me, but celebrities and egos and this, that, and the other. But to be honest with you, they were amazing people.
yeah,
And like for the first couple episodes or the first couple of days that I was in there, you could tell that I was very quiet because that was me not opening up. But then, you know, you soon have to let yourself go if you want to actually get through this because you can't do it on your own. You
yeah,
just can't.
yeah.
And became really good friends with Tony Belly, easily one of my
He's
closest
a
friends.
cool dude.
Love him to pieces, man. Love him to pieces. And I believe that he come out of SAS truly taking something from that and implementing it into his life. I truly believe that as well.
From watching the show, if I had to pick one person who's probably going to take the most away from that show, I'd probably
Yeah.
say him, just because it
Oh,
seemed
100.
to impact him so much.
100, man. Look, I'm not an athlete, although I wish I was, and I never claimed to be, but to have done something at that level for so long,
Mm.
pretty much all your life, and then, you know, you have to retire and stop, it's going to leave you in no man's land. You should know this, Zack.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? If you get told one day that you wouldn't be able to train or this, that, and the other, God forbid, it'll completely tip your life upside down and you'd be lost, you know?
a lot of athletes and sportsmen go through that. I think obviously they spend
Yeah,
their whole life training towards certain goals and dedicating
yeah,
their sport, and then if they retire because they get injured or they just retire because it's just their time to retire.
yeah.
That massive gap in their lives needs to be filled with something, and I don't think many people can fill it with what they used to before, just because it's a hard gap to fill once you've done something for so many
No,
years.
definitely. Leaves a proper psychological scar on a lot of athletes.
Yeah,
And the aftercare is so important.
yeah. But he was just he was just great to watch, just because he just looked like he was just on edge, like
Yeah, yeah.
you just didn't know what was going to happen.
Yeah. No,
And
I love that about Tone. And
yeah,
we had some really close moments and we talked a lot. And like both our upbringings were very similar. So we could relate to each other in
yeah,
that way as well. So yeah, no, he's a good lad.
yeah. So even though you obviously you were busy a lot of the time, you still you had some time that you could just chill and chat to everyone. And
Yeah, you know what? It was mostly on night watch. That's how they got you with the sleep deprivation. You do night watch and you'd be partnered up, and then you would have to log everything, and they'll get people to walk at certain times. They'll get cars to drive past and back and forth, and you'd have to log it. And if you didn't log it, you was getting a beasting. And yeah, so you had to stay awake. You couldn't just go up to the tower
yeah,
and just be like, "Oh, I'm just going to chill here." But you end up talking to each other.
I'm so surprised they don't show that, because you wouldn't, as a viewer, you would never know you had to do any of that stuff.
No, you would. I feel like it's just one of those where they've got a narrative and they try their hardest not to steer from that, because there's not enough time.
Yeah,
It's simply there's not enough time. I would love to get like a massive edit of it and just watch it back because it
yeah,
made that the footage on there is just crazy.
Yeah.
Just from my perspective as well. Just
Did it go
nuts.
fast, or it's because 8 days?
Oh no.
Hit
Eight
drag.
days. 8 days in Ibiza goes fast. 8 days on SAS is like 2 months.
Yeah.
Seriously, it really felt like it was 2 months. And when we got out there and I looked at myself in the mirror, I was like, fucking hell, you've aged. You've aged.
There's no one showers, do they? You can't wash.
No, you can't. You can have like a little bucket wash,
Mm.
but yeah, you just smell from the get go. And you smell so bad to the point where it's like, no one can't even smell it.
You just get immune to the smell.
Immune to it. It's like trying to smell your own fart. You can't. You can't. You just can't.
Was this show something you wanted to do for a while, or did it just randomly pop up, or was it been on your radar for a while?
You know what? It's a weird because I don't really watch TV. I heard about the show before we went in, but I never watched it.
Okay.
But at the same time, there was that part of me that was always looking for a challenge, always looking for me to jump out of my comfort zone and see if I could deal with it. Like when I was younger, I was actually going to sign up to go to the army. Like coming out of the Arsenal Academy, I was like, I felt a bit lost. I wanted that team bonding feel. I just missed all that. So yeah, I wanted to jump in the army, and then I ended up falling in love, and then I had a kid and whatnot. And cut a long story short, I always had that chip on my shoulders I had that earning to feel like, you know what, I could actually go in the army. I want to see if I could prove it. And then when it did come along, I was like, 100 million%, got to try this out. Got to give it a go.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I still my battery.
Sorry, lost you there.
I still didn't watch it because I just wanted to experience it. Have you got me now?
Yeah, I got you, man. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was just saying I still didn't watch it. When I got told that I was on, I still didn't watch it.
Really?
I just wanted to experience it.
Yeah. I think you did an amazing job. I think it's not like, it's like you said, your friend Tony, like when they said he couldn't carry on because he wasn't answering it. It's not even like he didn't quit. He didn't not do any tasks, but you literally have to be so switched on the whole time.
This is it.
And just because he didn't drip feed a bit of information, they let him go. It's like, it's such a hard task to finish. You can't just be willing to give it everything. You've got to do the right things in the right situations as well.
This is it.
Which it gives massive credit to you to get into something.
Cheers, bro.
To the end. I don't know if I would get to the end. I'd love to give it a go, but I don't know.
Mate, you've got it all about it. You know what I mean? You've got that desire, you've got that dedication, and just to clear it up with people logging into your page now. I've never met you.
No, yeah.
I've never met you. We only started talking a couple of weeks ago. I've been following you for nearly, I think it's about a year, and then I switched accounts, and then I found you back, and I followed you again. I'm a fanboy, by the way. And I gravitate towards people who are dedicated to their craft and have a desire to, always want to be challenged and always want to better themselves so they can become the best version of yourself. So yourself and Richie, I saw that in you and I loved it. And I watched and I was like, this CrossFit thing, this looks like a fucking challenge, man. I would love to get involved. And yeah, I've just been watching you guys' journey and it's been amazing.
No, I appreciate it, mate. I appreciate it because we started talking a couple of weeks ago, and I've been to see Rudimental loads of times, and I'm a massive fan. I've been big fan since you've been around, and
cheers,
always remember you jumping on stage, and I was just like jumping in the crowd, just going mad, loving it. And then when you commented it, I was like, oh my god, that's Locksmith from Rudimental. So it was the feeling's definitely mutual, mate. Because I've been a fan for absolutely years.
Oh, I appreciate that, man. That.
Yeah, talking about Rudimental. So when did Rudimental start?
Mate,
it's been years, isn't it?
No, it's definitely been years. You know what? A lot of people have seen the success of Rudimental and probably think it's, since the beginning of Field of Love, and we probably released Field of Love 9 years ago.
That's crazy how time flies.
But with that said, there's 4 of us in the band, and I first met Piers when I was 5 years old. And we grew up with each other ever since then. Kezi roughly about the same time as well. We all lived on the same street, lived in the same area, and we were stuck to each other like glue.
Mm.
Grew up playing football together, making music together, playing on pirate radio station, chasing the same girls, you name it, we did it. And you know, the defining factor was Feel the Love. We made a song called Feel the Love, which everyone probably knows,
Yeah,
and we were singing on it.
that was massive when that came out. That
Oh,
tune.
mate, if you heard it before, it wouldn't be so massive.
I
But
remember,
we knew it was going to be a big song. We were singing on it, and we
yeah,
were singing away, and we were like, "This is going to be sick!" And we was jumping up in the studio. We ended up trashing our studio because we thought this was the song that's going to break us.
yeah,
We literally thought that was going to be the song that's going to break us. And then you have those moments quite often as a musician. And then we left that in the hard drive. We left Feel the Love in the hard drive for about 2 years. And we didn't look at it. And then we ended up in a pub, found John Newman playing in there, and we was like, mate, you got to come on this song that we've written. And he came on it. Cut long story short, I'm here now with you guys talking
yeah.
away. So yeah, I've known the boys all my life. You know what I mean?
So John Newman wasn't popular before that song either.
No,
Wow.
it was unknown. Yeah, like John Newman, LOA, Emanike,
Yeah,
Sinead Harnett. Yeah,
Emily Sandé, a big feature on a lot of your songs, right?
yeah. Emily Sandé was probably the biggest feature on that first album.
Mm.
Yeah.
And how did that change your life from that song?
Oh,
Was
massively,
it a quick time frame, or how does it sort of spiral?
massively. It was a roller coaster journey from the get go.
Mm.
I initially remember quitting my job. I was working as a learning mentor in a secondary school, and my son I think my son had just been born, and I said to myself, I need to quit my job. I need to go back to uni and finish off my degree, studying sports science actually. And within that time, Feel the Love got picked up. I had about 100 quid in my pocket. I was relying on the next student loan to come through. I was 23 at the time, and yeah, it got picked up, and I think we might have got like a big wad of money, whatever it was, which didn't last long after tax and XYZ.
Yeah,
But it got us through, and it allowed us to make Rudimental our full-time jobs. And ever since then, it was just like one thing after the other, after the other, after the other, to the point where we got to a number one album, number one single, well, 2 number one singles off the back of that album, and then another number one album after that. You know, everyone knows the story, but yeah, it
it's
just
just
roller coaster.
absolutely crazy. Just the journey, and to obviously to be chatting to you now, and like I said, being such a big fan and being at the festivals, and it was such a live set when you guys were on. It was just always just madness.
No, definitely.
Yeah, it was wicked. And
Right.
are you still kind of, obviously you bring music out still? Is it
Yeah.
like still a front in your life that you're really pursuing?
Yeah, 100 million%. It's yeah, you can't get away from Rudimental. I've always said Rudimental is a way of life, you know. Like you mentioned, you're in the festival and your vibes in, you feel that positivity and that energy.
Yeah.
You know, that's what Rudimental provides. It's not just about one person, one song. It's a whole atmosphere that you can't replicate just by listening, just by making music. You have to experience it. So yeah, we're constantly always making music. It's what keeps me the busiest. Yeah, no, man. It's just it's constant. It just doesn't stop.
And have you found a lot's changed obviously since all COVID and everything's been locked down? Have you obviously a lot of the festivals or gigs that you might have had planned have obviously been changed?
Yeah, no, like definitely, man. Look, I'm not one to moan because I can still work from home. You know, things still keep moving in the music industry, even if you're not, you know, performing live.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people out there that are a lot worse off than me, and they're thinking about when are they going to get their next job because they've been let off because companies can't afford them, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of our gigs and a lot of our shows have been cancelled, if not pushed back to next year, hopefully. But who knows? No one knows. It's it's unprecedented.
It's crazy.
Like no one knows what's going on, really, you know.
Yeah.
But we hope that it all gets back to normal very soon.
Because my brother-in-law is in the music industry, and I think he's been at a few festivals with you. His name's Okim. He's a pianist.
Okay.
And he's done a few gigs for like Tiny Temper, and he's worked with loads of other people.
I probably know him. Yeah.
yeah, he's in the same situation where obviously everything's just been cancelled, and but he's doing
Mm.
as much kind of live musical gigs as he can, and just trying to get through that way. But I think it's definitely had a big effect on the music industry, and obviously big gatherings getting together.
Yeah, no, definitely. Everyone's going to take a humongous hit. Even
Yeah,
punters are going to take a hit, not necessarily financially, but socially. You know,
yeah, massively. Yeah, yeah,
I'm really intrigued to see how we come out of this, like on the social side of things, because you know, like say if everything opens up tomorrow, how are we going to react to one another? We've been in lockdown for a couple months now or
yeah, yeah.
more.
Since March, probably.
Yeah, so it's gonna be interesting. I'm sure we'll get out of it fine.
Mm.
But yeah, it's what it is. What it is.
One of the questions I've got as a obviously you're a musician,
Yeah, of course.
trying to think of a song. It's probably just because you're talented and I'm not in this field. But how do you think of a song that's not already a song? Like
Yeah,
if I try to if someone said make up a song, I'd be
yeah.
like okay yeah, and I'd hum something and it would probably be an old song.
Um,
Like how do you get away from just making a brand new track?
I don't know. I think it's you know, there's experiences and influences that you've had growing up.
Mm,
So and then there's a creativity side of it. It's a really difficult question that because it's one that I've never really asked myself.
yeah,
Um, I know that the boys help me out a lot when I'm making music, as I like to think I do with them.
yeah, yeah,
But it's literally inspiration. It's where do you draw your inspiration from?
yeah,
Sometimes, it could just be me just walking down the street and it pops out of nowhere, like magically in my head, and I'm ending up humming into my phone so that I can save that idea so I can get back and then put it on the keyboard or whatnot. So
yeah, yeah,
that's that. Sometimes it happens like that, or sometimes you're listening to old school records and you're like, I love the way that sounds. I always wanted to make a tune like that, and then
yeah, yeah,
something comes up in your head, a trigger, and you end up like making an '80s kind of beat, and you're like, well, it was influenced by that.
yeah, yeah,
So yeah, it's just a number of things. It's never ever one thing, and that's why I think it's so beautiful. Like music, the entertainment industry, the fitness industry as well. Like even when you're looking at like top tier footballers and you're looking at sort of like say Ryan Giggs in his time, like some of the stuff that he did, he weren't thinking about. He just did
yeah,
it.
yeah,
He was in a state of flow, if you like. And I know that's a word that gets often used in the sport industry. Like when you're in that state of flow, you come out the other side and you're like, where was I? Because you're
yeah,
just
yeah.
in that moment,
So zoned in. Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like when you're competing, bro, and then you're like, where did I pick up that energy from?
yeah, yeah,
Where did I have that little creativity to actually, you know what, I'm going to move my arm around like this to get up the
yeah,
rope
yeah,
or whatever, just
yeah.
little things. And then it just triggers something inside of you. And that's the only way I can really explain it. And don't get me wrong, we've made tunes and we've been like, fuck, that sounds like that tune. It's happened.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that you're probably thinking of is writer's block, which happens to all writers. You get
Yeah,
writer's block.
you hear a lot time a lot, like people.
Yeah. And literally, you just can't think of something else to write.
Yeah,
And I've had that many a time. And I know the rest of the boys have, but we are lucky enough able to get in the studio and inspire each other,
yeah, and bounce off each other.
bounce off each other, and there you have it. Yeah, man.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about training. So
Yeah,
you're crazy on your training. Like you get up super early, do
yeah,
your
man.
runs every morning, and
Mhm.
what's the goals behind your training? Have you recently just started getting into CrossFit then? The last like sort of
Oh, mate, I can't
year or
even
so.
I can't even say that I've got into it. My technique is horrific.
Well,
I'm Joe.
everyone starts everywhere. It
Yeah,
doesn't
no,
matter.
totally, and that's why I love it. That's why I love the CrossFit because
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like it's all different types of people from all walks of life,
yeah,
body shapes, body builds, women, men competing with each other. I love that. I just love that aspect of it. The whole fitness side for me is something that was installed into me from an early age. Like I said, I was playing at a really high level football when I was younger, and I didn't really start drinking until I was about 20 because I was just so dedicated to
yeah,
you know fitness. And when football didn't quite work out the way it did, I always had that earning to be fit, to challenge
yeah, yeah,
myself, to try new things and push myself beyond my boundaries. And that's something that I found by waking up early in the morning. You can attack the day by being
Yeah, yeah,
dedicated, by being consistent. You can achieve whatever you want to achieve. I'm living proof of that. I've come from
yeah.
nothing. I've not had a silver spoon thrown at me. Well, I've had a couple of spoons thrown at me in the past, but
Everyone does.
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And I've come from nothing to something. So I'm living proof of that. I'm living proof that if you dedicate yourself to something and you're willing to push through those boundaries, make sacrifices, you can get to where you want to get to. And
yeah,
that's what I love about training, because all those things are more existent than your everyday life. Like in your
yeah,
everyday life, it will take you 2 decades to make it.
yeah,
Like Rudimental, it took us near enough a decade and a half
yeah,
to have a track to blow and make it our
yeah,
full-time jobs. But when you're in the gym, it's quicker. It literally is. It literally is. Like, we're talking months, 3 months of hard work, and you can learn a new skill. Do you
mm,
know what I mean? And you can see a bit of definition in your arm, or you can see progress. You can feel progress because you're lifting heavier, or you've mastered the technique. And
mm,
that's what I love about it. And if you take those philosophies out the gym and you put it into your everyday life, you're winning. You're gonna
yeah, yeah,
win. You're gonna
yeah.
win.
Yeah, it definitely definitely gives you a good kind of perspective and good mental game
Yeah,
training and
definitely.
going into the gym every day and working your hardest. And like you said, if you carry that over into your everyday life, it can make a big impact.
Massive
And
difference. Yeah.
yeah, you can definitely, like, people don't normally see the work that goes behind. Like, it was like you said, your first track, people think you just popped up out of nowhere, and they
Yeah.
they might have seen the years of hard work before. Just like myself, if you obviously qualify for the games,
Mm,
but people don't see the kind of years of 7, 8 years of work you've put in before,
mm.
that that really is like the hard work that gets put in, and they're probably the hardest years, because
Oh, mate, I could
you're
imagine.
you're still so far away from where you want to be.
Mm, mm,
It just can't be rushed, especially something like
mm.
CrossFit, because the standard of CrossFit now is just unbelievable.
It's
You,
ridiculous.
yeah,
It's out of this world, man.
you can't have any weaknesses.
It's not an
Uh,
overnight thing, I tell you that much.
yeah, so it definitely transfers into your everyday life, and it definitely builds like an inner sort of hunger and drive that you can kind of feed off.
Yeah.
But we're definitely gonna have to get a session in when we can.
Oh, 100 million%, bro. If you're up for it, I'm definitely up for it.
That'd
Like,
be wicked.
don't tell me that, because I'll drive to you like every other day asking you
Yeah,
questions.
mate.
I've got OCD, bro. So, you know what I mean? As I do, look at Shelley, the Scotswoman. Bless
Oh
her.
yeah, yeah. We'll go through some of these. You got time to go through some of these questions?
Yeah, let's do it. Do it. Do it. Do it.
Let's have a look. But yeah, definitely when we can, then, mate, we'll have a session, and we'll have a look at your technique, and we'll get you learning some stuff.
Yeah, cool. Defo.
Right. What we got here? Let's have a look. Trying to go through. One of my close mates, Dan Wagner. What was the hardest part of SAS? He probably maybe
No,
already
yeah,
answered.
yeah, probably answer that. But I think the hardest thing for me was, again, yeah, the social integration,
Yeah.
which quickly became like light work, and it was easy because of the fellow recruits around you.
Yeah.
But there were some points that you didn't see where you're literally shivering. I actually got hypothermia
Did you?
whilst I was there. Yeah, they didn't show that one. I don't even know if I'm allowed to talk about it, but I am anyway. But yeah, I got hypothermia, and they basically asked me, "Do you want to carry on, or do you want to quit?" And I said, "I want to carry on. I want to go on." To the point where I was just dozing in and out of consciousness, and it was scary stuff because I've never experienced that before.
Yeah, it's
So
mental.
that was hard. That was very hard.
Yeah. What we got next? I'm guessing this one's for me. I get this question all the time. Have you taken sports enhancing drugs? I would never take any sport enhancing drugs.
Good man.
Ever. Just not me. And everyone who knows me closely knows I'd never take anything like that. What's your calorie intake like? So for me, it's roughly 4,000 calories a day. Uh, but I do train for 3.5 hours, 4 hours every day. So
That's mad. So how many
um,
how many calories do you burn then?
I don't actually eat a lot really for my size. So
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
100 kilos, and like I said, I train for 4 hours a day.
Yeah, that's mad.
So on averagely, I burn a lot of calories per day, but I just put on weight so easily.
Oh, bro, you and me
Like
both.
100 kilos is already way too heavy to be a CrossFit athlete. Like I look like a bodybuilder on stage next to everyone else.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I can
Um,
imagine.
so yeah, I kind of find the minimum sort of calories I need to still perform well, and
Yeah.
that's roughly around that mark.
That's
Um,
like a pro and a con for me. The fact that I can take weight off so quick.
yeah, yeah,
Like literally, I can shred up so quick, but then as quickly as I've shredded up is as quickly as I can put on the weight.
yeah, yeah.
So
How, how,
sometimes, yeah,
how
go on.
many calories you on every day?
Me, I'm trying to shred up. I'm trying to get lighter. So my calorie intake is like in the deficit at the minute. So I'm on something like 2,200, something like that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and I'm just trying to stay in that deficit because I need to shred. I need to shred a bit of this fat, man. It's a joke. I'm getting in this lockdown period. I'm losing discipline with my diet.
I
But
wouldn't say you were fat.
what's that?
I wouldn't say you were fat.
Hey, bro.
I can see them abs showing on those muscle ups.
No one is talking about fat. I'm saying I got a bit of fat on me. I need to get rid.
Someone's you might not want to answer this. I don't know if you
Go on.
whereabouts in Hackney are you from?
I'm from Clapton.
Okay.
That's where we grew up. Yeah, Lower Clapton.
So Shelley's asked Zach, do you reckon you would like SAS? Yeah, I'd love the mental challenge, and I'd love putting myself in dark places and see how I cope with it.
Mm.
I know I'd definitely struggle with the sleep and the food. But yeah, I'd 100% love the challenge. I'd love to see how I cope with it.
Mate, you'll thrive with it.
Yeah, it would be something pretty cool to do, definitely. And I'm very competitive, so I'd want to get to the end or I'd be very annoyed. Someone's put one of my close friends would be epic to see Zack sleep deprived. So everyone who knows me well knows I sleep for about 9 to 10 hours every day.
Love that.
I just love sleep,
Yeah,
and then I'll have a nap during the day as well, and it just yeah, it fits well for my
mate,
routine.
that's how you grow, bro.
Exactly.
Those days are over for me. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, my missus is always like, when we have a kid, you are not sleeping as much as you do. And I'm like, well, if I need to perform, I need to sleep.
Yeah, for real. For real.
Someone's asked, was the DS on your case 100%? Yeah, you've kind of answered that.
Yeah, all the time. Non-stop.
Right. Oh, that's a nice comment. You are my inspiration now. I love watching you on SAS. Your Instagram
thank you.
stories cheer me up, and Rudimental produce some cracking tunes.
Oh, bless you. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Nice. Here's a good one. Did you feel any way towards Fashanu after he choked you? Yeah, there's a point where he got extremely
Yeah, that was as much of a surprise to me as it was to you guys, because we're playing the game and my focus is getting that tire to the opposite side. And, I've gone for the tire and Fash has gone for me. And it's one of those, if they could show you the whole story behind the whole thing, and I've not actually expressed this to anyone, so this is some inside information here, guys. Earlier that day, we were lining up on the parade and we got asked. No, Ant pulled me out and he said, who do you think is the weakest person in this group? And I said, Fash. Now, the only reason why I said Fash is because at this point, he was talking about leaving whilst we were in our dorms or in our accommodation. He was talking about leaving. He was talking about leaving so much that he got his notepad out and he was taking everyone's emails to stay in contact with people. And like Fash could say no, I didn't do that, but he did. And so then in my head I was like, all right, he's going, isn't it? Why am I going to pick anyone else if he's saying that he's about to, he's gonna give it in? So he asked me first and I said Fash. And then he asked everyone else and they followed suit. And I think only one person didn't say Fash and they said someone else. So from then, I think he had a little bit of like something towards me. And I didn't see it that way. I just saw it as, bro, you're going to leave anyway.
Yeah.
So when we got into the murder ball and he did what he did, I think that's where it festered from. But
Mm.
I was still clueless to that. And yeah, so he got me in a headlock. And when you see me scream, it's not because I was in the headlock.
You got hit down there, didn't you?
Yeah, I got
Yeah,
hit on my groin.
yeah.
And it felt like slow motion because it was Tony. Tony came out of nowhere, jumped up, like it felt like he jumped up like 20 foot in the air, and he was just screaming, and his knee just came down and went straight into my groin. And that's
Oh,
what I
yeah,
screamed for. Mate,
yeah.
it was like all slow motion. So then, yeah, that's what the scream was for. It wasn't for Fash. So even when I got in the headlock, to answer your question, and afterwards, I genuinely didn't feel no way towards it. I was just like, mate, he got carried away.
Yeah.
And I felt like my temperament at that time was so good. I was so focused on what I wanted to achieve. He didn't even enter that headspace.
Mm.
And then they paired us up again afterwards. And I ended up carrying him up a hill for nearly an hour and a half to
Mm.
get to the cliff bit where he let me down again. And
Yeah.
that's when I felt away to him. That's when I was like, I should have just headbutt you at that point. Because he drew so much of my energy,
Yeah.
to get him to that point.
Yeah.
And
You did really well not to react on that because, like,
mate,
as a viewer, I remember, like, me and Dan Wagner, we always
mm.
talk about the show after we watched it, and we were like, "Did you see when he was choking Locksmith out? What the hell?" Like, blah, going back.
Everyone was calling up my phone, and everyone was like, bro, what should we do? Like, say the word. I was like, what are you not talking about? It's a show. Do you know what I mean? Everyone gets caught up. Like, there's many moments where I got caught up on the show, and I had to like check myself. I was like, whoa, mate, check yourself. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
just
yeah,
one of those things. I had no animosity towards him at all,
yeah.
believe it or not.
Especially with the sport what they were getting you to do is gonna flare tempers, and it's gonna
Exactly.
aggravate it, isn't it? So that's
This
what
is
they
it. This is
do.
it. No, I love Fash, man.
We'll answer a couple more questions because I don't want to keep you too long.
Okay.
How close was Tony B from knocking out the DS?
Oh, mate, I wasn't there. But everyone was talking about it.
Really?
So yeah, when it came back down, everyone was talking about it. And then Tone, we literally had like a good 10-minute conversation. When he came in, he was like, I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have done that. He was extremely close. But
Yeah,
the beautiful thing about that moment there is that Tony had the willpower to stop himself, and on the other side of things was pushing.
yeah,
Do
yeah,
you know what I mean? And he
yeah,
was willing to take one for the team. We spoke about it. We all laughed at it after the show with a bear and that. And we was like, mate, I was ready to take it.
yeah, yeah. Because
But
you watch them shows, and I don't think I've ever seen anyone who's probably that close to it. He might just swing.
yeah. Totally.
Yeah, that was
Totally.
close. This is a question to both of us. I guess it's to both of you. What motivates you when you're at your lowest to keep going? For me, I'm extremely motivated sort of person. And anyone knows me, I'm super laid back, and I don't get too phased about anything really. So a lot of people asked me recently because obviously the games have made cut. So I qualified for the games as a national
Mate.
champion in the UK. And I
What a
was,
time.
yeah, I was 26th in the world, and they were only taking the top 20. So I was like 6 spots out. So yeah, obviously it was a 6-year dream to qualify for the games, and I thought I've done it, and obviously all this is kicked in. But the bigger picture again is, like you said earlier, there's a lot bigger pandemic than me not making games or kind of festivals being cancelled. Do you know what I mean? People are losing.
Totally, man. This is it.
So I think when you're at a low point, it's really important to surround yourself with good people. Luckily, I've got a really good support group around me of friends and family, and just try and keep your eyes focused on what you want to achieve. And there's always going to be ups and downs during any journey. So you just got to keep going forward and keep the right people around you.
Mate, I can't reiterate that enough, and it's so true. I put a post up on my Insta the other day, talking about, what did I say? Tough times don't last, tough people do.
Exactly.
And that's where I draw my motivation from, knowing that my lowest moments are not going to be here forever. There is going to be, I hate the cliche, but there is going to be light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, of course.
And you've just got to keep crawling to try and get there. And as long as you're staying positive, setting the right goals for yourself.
Yeah, 100%.
All that kind of stuff keeps me motivated when I'm at my
Yeah,
lowest.
yeah. All right, let's go for one more. Here we go. How did you cope to switch off from during a brutal task, then heading back into base, knowing how each other contestant were brutal with each other? I don't really get that question.
I think I get a gist of it. I think like, you know,
Let me read it again, see if
yeah,
you
go
get
on.
it. How did you cope to switch off from doing a brutal task, then heading back into base, knowing how each of the contestants were brutal with each other? Also off screen, how were the DSs? So I think he's asking when maybe things got a bit heated between you two, then
Yeah.
going back into camp, I think maybe.
Yeah, no, I think everyone knew when to switch off and switch on. You
Yeah.
know, the very little time that you had to switch off, you would use it wisely.
Mm.
Because if you try and use it in a way where you want to revenge, too much of a stronger word, or you want to attack an issue that might have happened on the outside, you're wasting your energy.
Yeah, yeah,
Because in a moment's notice, you're getting called to do another challenge,
yeah,
which you're not going to be good at. And you're going to have to draw on all your mental energy in order to get through that. So you
yeah, yeah,
can't be wasting that energy on other people. And
yeah,
that works with life as well.
yeah,
And that's something I have to say that I've learned coming out of SAS. I used to take a lot of what the music industry, because it can be a shit fucking place.
yeah, I can imagine.
Excuse my language.
Yeah, yeah,
But you can't let all those negative issues get to you, because then it just weighs you down. And you end up
yeah.
doing what I've done in the past and smash and break things, and it
Yeah,
doesn't work.
I think I think this applies to a lot of people. But say you get 100 nice comments and you get one bad comment. Yeah, I
Oh,
think it's just human nature. You're going to focus on that bad comment.
negative. Yeah,
And
totally.
it's
That's so mad that we do
yeah,
that.
it's crazy, isn't it?
I was
It's
talking to the
crazy.
boys about this actually. We was talking about it the other day, and like we've had some amazing shows around the world. Yeah, like
Mm,
I'm talking played in South America, Brazil, in front of nearly 90,000 people. Like great shows.
mm.
But I cannot tell you what happened each step of the way. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
like I can just remember being on stage and playing in front of 90,000 people. But you give me one negative thing that happens on stage that might have ruined a show for me,
mm.
and I could tell you everything that's happened on that day, leading up to the show, on the show, how many steps I might have taken. I remember it in detail. So I remember it's just mad. It's like
Yeah,
you
yeah,
remember those negative moments because you want to avoid it. I think that's human nature.
yeah. Mental. And how's your knee now? Is your knee all
Knee's
good
good,
now?
man. Knee's
Yeah, yeah.
good. I've got defects in my knees that are about the size of a 20p coin.
Wow.
So it's one of those, it's no better and no worse than
Yeah,
before SAS. It's just one of those things. I've either got to do an operation on it because it's such a rare condition. It's risky.
yeah,
Or I can do the hard work and be disciplined and get up early, 4 o'clock in the morning, and do the strength work and everything I need to do so that I can enjoy doing intensive exercise.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, thank you for that, then, bro.
Oh,
I don't want
thank
to
you for
take any
having
more
me,
time.
man.
It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Like I said, I've been such a
Likewise.
big fan. I just remember when I was younger, seeing you on stage and just going mental, and now talking to you. Yeah, it's pretty surreal. But
Oh, mate, it's moments like this that make me feel like, that's what life's about. Doesn't matter how much you succeeded in life, treat everybody the way you would like to be treated, because everything works around in full circle, man. Like
yeah,
moments like this, and I love that.
yeah, yeah. And I'm really looking forward to getting you down. And obviously, you're welcome down
I'm
when
on
you
it.
can. Welcome every day if you wanted, and we can
Where you based?
get you into a CrossFit Beast. Leicester, Leicestershire.
Leicester. Yeah, that'll be like once a year. Then I'll be down there. I'm joking, bro.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about the distance.
No, but I probably train in London maybe once a month when
Oh, do
normal
you?
when normal life is on.
Mate, I'll
Yeah,
travel up to you. I don't mind. I'm
I
down.
normally train them, but yeah, we'll get a regular training, mate, and we'll get you into your CrossFit career.
Yeah. We'll try.
All right, bro. Much appreciated, mate.
Love, man. Stay safe. Send my love to
All
the
right, bro.
family.
See
Nice
you,
one.
brother. Bye.
Bye.